Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cozy Content Corner. Y'all, today I have my friend Celi, and she's about to drop a bunch of knowledge bombs. But a little bit about Celi before we start. She is an expert in business growth, and she's a strategist and certified mindset coach. She helps frustrated entrepreneurs build a business that supports their lifestyle and teaches them how to think differently. So, in the long term, they can become their own strategist and become the CEO of their own business. Sally, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me. It's so nice
Of
to see you
course.
too. I like that we have this
Yes.
moment to catch up.
Yes, we do. So, I met Sally in person actually at a lovely dinner that we had with Jordan Gill.
Yeah.
And you knew who I was. And
I
I
have
will,
I have one of
yes,
those weird memories that once I've seen a face, I have a visual memory. So if I've seen your face in something and I've seen your name, I I remember people. It weirds people out. But I'm like,
no,
"Hey."
I love it. Like it made me feel so good and like it made me feel like I was meant to be sitting at that table because there were some pretty incredible people sitting at that table and I was so nervous like going to break bread with all of these like incredibly amazing women and I like didn't have a glass of wine before and I was like oh my god I'm gonna shit my pants. And then you were like, Sarah, TikTok, and I was like, oh my god, like that just like made me feel so seen and like made me feel so like comfortable and like I was meant to be there. So thank you for that. I will always remember that. Um,
I love
but
that.
yeah.
I'm so glad, and that makes me so happy. And I also really want to acknowledge what you just said, because what you just said is what we don't say enough, is admitting that a lot of times at certain tables and in certain rooms, we feel like we're not meant to be there and we are actually meant to be there.
Oh, 100%. 100%. It's like when you and I feel like some of us have never gone to in-person things, but it's such a different energy and vibe and it's so incredibly powerful to like sit around the table with people that are doing what you're doing or far beyond and it's like in the cheesiest way possible just like so friggin' motivating and empowering. So I'm so happy that we had that moment together.
Yeah, me too. And we've been friends ever since.
Yes, we truly have. We have. So Sally has not always been in the online business space. She has walked many different walks of life. So can you tell us a little bit about what life looked like before you stepped into the online business?
Yeah, well, I think probably for a lot of people in this space, they probably had something in their childhood that they would like to, either they had a lemonade stand or a babysitting job or something, because I had my first business when I was 10. I realized that I really needed to make money in order to take ballet. I really wanted to take ballet and I wasn't going to be able to afford it. So I was like, came up with this master plan. And my mom was a very cool. She let me do all my crazy ideas. So I started a babysitting business. I ran that business since the time I was 10 all through high school. So it paid for dance. I actually bought my first junker car, but I bought it myself, you know?
Yes.
Um, and I think I've been in business ever since. I studied in college. I went to a conservatory and I studied dance. So you and I have that love of the performing arts in common, as
Yes, we're
we've been
both
talking about.
performance girlies.
Yes. And then I also studied, I always had a little side gig no matter what I was doing. I was like sewing purses and sewing cute things and selling them on the side. I started a little art gallery with a friend. I was always that person that was like starting some kind of little business. And then I went to South America. I moved back to Argentina and got a fashion design degree, and I started a fashion line. And I also learned tango. And so I've also been a professional tango teacher and dancer. People are like, what? I'm like, yes, this is true story. So I ran a fashion line and taught tango for like about 9 years. I would like to say that it ran me. So many of you are probably feeling that way about your businesses right about now.
Mm-hmm.
That business really ran me. I worked 7 days a week for 9 years and finally just was like, I need to go get an MBA because I clearly don't know what I'm doing in the world. That was what I believed, right? So I was like, my mother was right. I should have gotten an MBA a long time ago. I'll go get an MBA. I sold my business and got an MBA. Didn't really learn anything fantastically mysterious about business, actually. It was fun. Then I worked in startups. I worked in tech startups, and then I worked in corporate partnerships and brand partnerships. And then I went back to tech startups as a COO this time. I'm trying to make a very long story short. And in that, I guess my experience, I've sat in many different positions in business, and I started to see patterns and themes and things that came up. And I was like, gosh, like operations and systems, like when you don't really have operations and systems in place to support the team, the founders, the mission, things really fall apart. So I got really interested in, I'm a creative, obviously at heart, but I got interested in like, what's the back end gears that make things actually work and function. So I started working in operations in a startup, and then I started coaching and consulting on the side. And then during COVID, I got asked by a coaching company if I would come and apply to be one of their head coaches. And I got the job. So I left my COO gig to be a head coach at a coaching company for businesses because I really enjoy teaching and I enjoy helping entrepreneurs. So I was a head coach for almost 2 years, and then I left to start my own coaching business company.
Yes. So when did you know it was time to like leave working for other people and start your own thing?
I think that as a back end person, you have to be really at peace with that your work, a lot of your work and your grunt work and your ideas and your coming up with the frameworks and coming up with the teachings and coming up with the right, that somebody else is the person who presents it and teaches it, and maybe in the teaching of it even doesn't say it the way you would have said it or doesn't teach it with the same heart as you would have taught it. And I think that there was finally a point in my career where I was like, I am tired of building out things for other people and then sitting on the sidelines while they are on stage, literally on stage, presenting my ideas or my thing that I built, and me being on the sideline being like, no, that's not, no, but you lost the like, you're missing the pizzazz of it and the heart of it. And so I think there was a little bit of that happening underneath the surface in me where I was like, I can like create teachings and content for days. Why am I not just being the forward person? Now, I had a limiting belief that I was meant to be second player, like I was meant to be a right hand. And I think COOs are fabulous. And I think there's actually absolutely nothing wrong with being a COO, but I think I needed to go on my own internal journey of realizing like, no, I actually want to be the teacher and the speaker and the person taking ownership of their creations. And I need to be okay with that. And I need to make peace with that. And I need to just own it and do it. So there was like an internal journey and an internal struggle for me, I think, of realizing, yep, I'm done. I'm done like making other people millions. I'm done making other people famous. I think something had to happen in me for me to realize, oh yeah, I really want to build things that I get to teach. So that's
Yeah,
kind
and
of
I
what
think
started to happen. And also when you
mhm,
see things happen that you don't feel good about. So like, for example, in my former
mhm,
coaching company, we were pure like systems and strategy and growth tools. And I teach all those things today, but we didn't address or acknowledge mindset. If we addressed it, we would say, oh yeah, that's mindset. but we didn't have any way of helping you through it. And for me, the more I coached in that company, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, for me, it felt like a gap. It just felt like we're not we're like, there's like an elephant in the room, and we're kind of like, yeah, we see the elephant. We all know the elephant's there, but we're not really going to address it because that's not what this program is, which is totally fine. But the way I'm wired, I'm like, if there's an elephant in the room, I'm the girl who likes to address it. So that's also kind of what I went and built. I built in my company, the Grown Ass Business, and the frameworks incorporate the tools and strategies and tactics and systems that you need, but we also incorporate mindset, which I just think addresses the whole person and the whole business and the whole business owner. And that's just more exciting to me. It's just, I'm lit up every day by what I do. And like, I work a lot and I coach a lot, and I'm actually invigorated by my clients and by getting to teach them and coach them, So that's always the sign too, when you're like not drained by what you're doing.
Yes. And so much of it is mindset. So much of it. And I think so many people listening can resonate to the like, I'm meant for more. I'm meant to do more. And you could have all the wonderful strategy in the world, but if you're not embodying it, if your energy is not there, if your mindset is not there, you're not going to do it. It's no fault to you, but if we don't
Look,
have
I
those
am an
tools, yeah.
yeah, I am an ops strategist through and through. I wish it was a just strategy thing. I
Yeah.
wish it was just a tools, systems, tactics, ops, go do this thing. I wish it was. I really do. So my job would be easy. I would be making everybody fast cash, right? Like, and I'd be super famous for it. And it's, the truth is, like, that elephant that's in the room is actually bigger than we realize. And the more we try to ignore it, and the more we try to push it, or the more we're like, yeah, mindset, sure. Yeah, like, the more we try to do that and stuff it into the corner, I feel like the bigger it gets.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a really big part of the puzzle.
Yeah. So now when you went and said, okay, I'm doing my own business, I'm going to do my own coaching business. How did you find those first few clients?
I started the way everyone starts, and I hope this lands for people. I want you to know that when you're starting something and you're figuring out your frameworks and who you are in a space and your methodology, don't start with some big course and expect to get 50 or 100 people in there, no matter what the marketing is going to tell you. Okay? Just like, get your feet wet, know what you're good at, know your strengths, know who your people are, know who you attract. I started one-on-one. I
Mhm.
had been doing one-on-one for a really, really, really long time already. And I started with just a few one-on-one clients, and it was mostly referral based. And I couldn't work with previous clients from that previous company, but some of them referred me to other people. And I just had a solid roster of one-on-one clients for that whole transitioning out period and for several months. And then, of course, I already in my mind was a framework builder. I already had the experience of building out teachings and trainings for someone else. So I was noticing my own patterns in my clients. And I also wanted to create frameworks to address these things, that frameworks that were mine. So I was already developing frameworks to address bigger issues and bigger patterns. And then I thought I would do one-on-one forever. And a friend of mine, a colleague of mine, was like, that the only way you're going to actually grow and grow into what you could become is by doing a group program. And I immediately had a lot of resistance to that, because I was like, no, because I can't really deliver the results. I can't give people the white glove hand holding and support them on their journey and give them the results they need if I do a group. And he was like, well, that's interesting that you have that belief and that you believe that, but why don't you, I'm not saying make a program like all the other programs out there. Make a program the way you think a program should look. And I think the thing about mindset and understanding your mindset is, for me now, whenever I feel resistance to something, so whenever someone says, hey, maybe think about it this way or look at this perspective, if I have immediate resistance to it, I actually know that's something I need to look at more. So when I have immediate resistance, when I'm like, ooh, no, I now know, ooh, wow, that's a really interesting reaction I just had. What's that about? Girl, what's happening right now? Where is that belief coming from? What? So I got curious about that no. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna listen to what you said. I'm gonna walk away. And I allowed myself to get curious of, okay, do I have enough information and enough pattern recognition? And do I believe in my frameworks that I could teach them in a group setting? Absolutely. Do I know like the process and the step-by-steps that people should take to build a solid business? Absolutely. Am I seeing in my one-on-one clients the same things over and over and over again? Absolutely. So then it was really, do you believe, like, could I? My challenge was, could I create a group program where I still feel totally in integrity and I still feel like I'm giving everybody one-on-one attention, which, by the way, I do, which is insane, I know. But is there a world where I could build a group program that I still feel really good about what I'm delivering? And so that's what I started to build. Like, if there was a group program that made me feel amazing about my delivery and the results I get people, what would it look like? And I built my first group program from that thinking. And that's how Foundations of a Gab Dash was built. So that's my Foundations program.
Yes. And we're going to get more into like the nuts and bolts of like what you do one-on-one. But I'm sure so many people listening are like, oh, yeah, there's no way I can do my one-on-one in a group. There's no way. I'm not
Yeah.
going to be able to give the same support, the same results, the same transformation. So how how do you find it possible to give some of that one-on-one support in a group setting?
So what I created, this is for me, and I do think it's possible for everyone. This is just how I decided to do it. But what
Yes,
I
we
did
love
was,
some examples.
yeah. But what I did was I created a CEO dashboard. So the Gab Dash is a CEO dashboard that I walk people through every week. Every week we address the major building blocks you need to have in place for a solid business foundation, right? It all lives in one dashboard, and all the work that we're picking away at lives in one dashboard. Everyone has the option to share their dashboards with me and share their work with me every week. They submit their work, they ask me questions, and I actually go into each person's dashboard and the work they're doing, and I give them personalized feedback.
Can you
So
explain to people what a dashboard has in it for people that don't know?
what we cover in this program is like, it covers all the main pillars of business. So from left to right, customer journey, right? Product market fit, understanding your market, understanding your audience, millionaire messaging, how do you talk to them, understanding your numbers, right? Having, how do you figure out profitable pricing of your offers, understanding your offers, how do you figure out how to get to your goal, creating a sales projections dashboard so that you have sales projections for the year, a marketing plan, a CRM, and then the metrics that you should be measuring in your business, which we'll get into in a minute because I know you had questions about that. But so, for example, somebody might be like, oh my God, I have 10 offers and I'm overwhelmed. Here are all my offers. Here's how they priced. Here, you've taught me if they're profitable or not. Here's if they're profitable or not. And I also talk about energetic profitability, because what I'm interested in is your
Mm-hmm.
offers. Is your offer financially profitable? Do you actually make a profit off the offer? Because a lot of people don't, because they just price things arbitrarily. But then also, is it energetically profitable? Does that particular client or that particular offer drain you, or does it light you up and excite you? Because it's also something we don't think about. So for example, say somebody fills in that offer evaluation and they're like, okay, I'm stuck. I have 10 things and I don't know what to cut, what to change, what to write. And so I'll look at what they've done and I will give them feedback and we'll go back and forth on it. Or like writing a business vision, people get really stuck on that. So they'll be like, this is what I have and this is where I'm stuck. And I just give them feedback. We go back and forth until they have written their business vision that they feel really good about. So the dashboard has all these major components that you need to look at in place, because the pattern that I found in my clients is most clients, even people that you know, the way we all run business is we run our businesses from our zone of genius, which is great. You have a certain skill in the world and you run your business from that skill. And eventually you need to open up the blinders a little bit and you need to be able to look at the other pillars and the other elements that are going to impact your business. Like you, for example, let's just say, I don't know, but let's just pretend you're great at marketing. You're great at content and you're great at marketing. But let's say you hate numbers and you haven't bothered to look at if your offers are profitable and if they're priced at a place that's going to get you to your monthly goal and your yearly goal. Well, then you're going to be marketing and making content all day long and be killing it, but you may be actually selling offers that aren't profitable, aren't making you money, aren't getting you to your goal. Like that's really, really typical.
Yeah.
Okay. So we tend to like look at our business in the area that we feel most comfortable to operate in. And then we tend to ignore all the areas that we believe we're not good at. So part of my job is really demystifying that. And I break down the basic core elements of each pillar so that you realize, oh, okay, great. Now I know what product market fit is. I know how to get it. I know how to build out a messaging plan. I know how to build offers. I know how to build profitable offers. Now I've had people who do my program who are like freaked out by numbers and scared by numbers. And after the numbers week, they text me or send me a message saying, I realize I need to let go of my bookkeeper because now I understand my numbers and I understand my cash flow and I understand that they're not really serving me.
Yeah.
I've had several people actually say that to me. And I'm like, I'm not trying to get bookkeepers fired or anything, but I think people who have they get in relationship with these people, like I'm bad at numbers, so therefore I must need a bookkeeper. But when I show you how to look at your finances for your business, I'm not like a financial advisor, but when I teach you about cash flow and what you should be looking at and how to understand it, like I don't look at P&Ls. I teach you how to look at cash flow, which is actually much, much easier. When you start understanding your business cash flow, and now I give you a tool on how to track it, you're so empowered that you're no longer scared of your numbers.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, oh, I don't really need to be spending, my numbers aren't complicated enough for me to be spending this much on a bookkeeper anymore, because now I understand them. So I try to do that in each major pillar of business. And so for everyone, they have kind of a breakthrough in a different area.
Yeah. So what metrics or analytics should we be looking at? And I'm sure this like could differ for different types of businesses, but like what are some key metrics that we should be looking at?
It's of course always different for different types of businesses, but this is how I think of metrics and how I'd want you to think about it is your metrics should be answering a question. So what's the question? Because we think we're just supposed to be looking at metrics. And this is why we all end up shying away from metrics and analytics, is because we look at something and we don't know what it's telling us. And then we feel dumb, and nobody likes feeling dumb. So we just turn away from it. But metrics are a really cool thing because they're just answering a question. So if the question is, let's say, your world, is TikTok really doing anything for me? Let's say that's the question, right? So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my simple metrics dashboard that I give my clients, and I'm going to measure every time I post something, what happened. And if that eventually, did it create followers, likes, or leads? Did those leads click? Did somebody actually book a call? Did it convert to anything? And maybe after a month of tracking this regularly, I can answer the question, is TikTok worth my time? That's how you should be using metrics.
Yeah.
So if the goal is, I need to sell this many of this product per month to hit my goal. Okay, where are we offering it? And let's start measuring. Let's just measure, are these channels bringing in leads, and are those leads converting to a sale? That's all you need to know. You really only need to know 3 numbers. Leads, did they take an action? Did they convert to a sale? That's what you should be looking at. So the thing about metrics is, what's the question? In your world, like for marketing people, what I would want to know is which channel is performing, so that you know where to focus your time and energy.
Yeah.
So you just need to measure, you need to see how they're performing. Like every time that I want to get off Instagram and stop making content on Instagram and stop making reels, I get another person who DMs me and is like, hey, so I've been following along. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm always like, ugh, I can't get off Instagram quite yet. Um,
Yes.
yeah.
And yeah, I mean, so many of us find even just the word metrics scary. And you just posted on your stories about this, how we give so much power to these words, metrics, launch, and we make them so frightening.
Yeah.
But really, we just have to kind of break it down into what matters
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, I am totally guilty of like being afraid of numbers and metrics sometimes, as I'm sure like a lot of people listening are. So you're not
Yeah.
alone,
I
but
mean,
it does not need
I
to
think my
be.
job is to dispel your fear, to show you,
Yes,
here, this is a really, really simple way of doing this. There's a really, really simple way of doing that. There's a really, really, really straightforward way of doing that. There you go. Fear dispelled. Make it easy. I think because here's what happens, and this is where the mindset piece comes in. When we put so much weight and meaning onto certain words, we suddenly make something much harder than it is, because now we have all this weight on the numbers, metrics, launching. We've put all this energy on it. So now we've made it a much scarier, heavier thing to even look at and do. So my whole job is to go, no, 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 no. It's actually really straightforward. Business is pretty simple. And we just have to remove a lot of that mental noise so that we can do the things that we need to do.
100%, 100%. And you're like the queen at doing that. Um, but a little shift here. So Celi is also like so good at messaging. She is the queen of messaging. And so I'm curious about a few things. One, can you talk about maybe over the past few years how messaging has shifted? Like what hits now that like totally wouldn't have hit before? What used to work that's not working anymore?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you really notice, if you pay attention, there was like this trend when leads were cheap. Okay, and what I mean by that is when people, there's nothing wrong with ads, but when people were running ads and getting lots of leads to their funnel or to their digital product without much need for sales or convincing, and those leads were converting to sales, right? Because Facebook ads were cheaper and it was easier to get those leads looking at your things. In that era, which was not long ago, it was just a few years ago, the era was, I'm making so much money, I'm on a yacht, I'm so cool, you want my life, I'm on a yacht all day long, not working, you can have this too, it's possible, right? And that was kind of the messaging. And I think that people are still doing that, and it gets likes and attractions, but I don't think it's converting as much, because the audience has
No.
caught on that that's not, we've bought enough of those courses, and we've fallen enough times for that we're like, no, I'm actually not so sure you're on that yacht. I'm not sure that you're on that private jet. I'm
Yeah.
questioning this. So what I have found the way that I do messaging and I help my clients do messaging is I have them do voice of consumer interviews, which means I have them interview their current audience or current clients or people they would have loved to have worked with that didn't work with them. I have them interview them and ask them a few specific questions. And so that they really understand their audience and what their audience is feeling, thinking, what words they're using, what are they most interested in hearing, seeing, what are they needing from you, right? And we develop messaging around that. So I found that with my clients that really get this right, the more authentic they are and honest they are about who they are and what they're doing, the more it just hits. Like I have one client who has 30K followers now on Instagram and TikTok very, very quickly. And somebody asked her, how did you do that? And she was like, Celi. And I was like, wait, I did? How did I do? I was like, how did I do that? I don't even know. And she's like, you're the one who made me really insist. You insisted that I change up my messaging and talk about this. That made me really uncomfortable, but it really hit a nerve with people. And I was like, oh, that's fascinating. So I think that people are and I'm not talking about resonating with the like oversharing boohoo vulnerability. I don't think that's hitting either, if you want my honest opinion. But I think people are looking for more realness. And I think that works. And one of the best ways to know what your audience wants and needs and is looking for is by asking them.
Yeah, for sure. So can you give us some examples of authenticity and vulnerability that you've seen that you think are really kind of hitting?
Yeah, I can give you like, so for example, this particular client that I was talking about, she's a connections expert, an expert in connecting, but she was talking about it from kind of the psychological expert way. And so then she started making posts about how when she moved to the country where she lives in and she has a great husband and has great kids and has this picture perfect life, but she on the inside felt very lonely and felt like she didn't know anybody or have any friends and felt like she didn't have the place to complain or even be down because she has this supposedly picture perfect life. And people were like, oh my God, thank you so much for sharing that. Because I also thought you had the picture perfect life. So thank you for your honesty. Like what you said at the beginning of this interview. I went to this dinner and I was so nervous to be there and I was so uncomfortable. Like, I didn't know that until you just told me now.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm like, and I said, thank you for sharing that because I genuinely think more people need to hear that. Like the other day, like I try to do this in my content as much as possible, right? Like the other day, some of my clients were like finishing up this current cohort. We're at the end and someone was like, I'm still stuck on my vision. And I was like, you know what? This is why you're stuck on your vision. And then I made content about it, which I'm going to post in a few days. Here's why you're stuck on your vision. Because we live in a world where we haven't been given permission to believe that our biggest dreams are possible. So when you sit down to write a business vision, you're stuck because you actually don't have permission to allow yourself to even think that your dream business is a possibility. And we have to address that in order for you to write the business vision. But that's like very, very real. It's not me in your face. It's not boohoo crying, but it's like, hey, of course you're having trouble writing the vision because you live in a world where we've been told success looks like this. Success looks linear. It looks like the corporate ladder. And if you choose to become an entrepreneur, you better grow in a linear line to the top. Or if not, you're a failure because that's the only model that we know. Right? So we have to first realize, oh, wait, well, number one, you chose to get off that ladder by starting a business and becoming an entrepreneur. So success and the journey towards your success, you already have to let go of all the paradigms that you had in your mind because success is going to look different because you chose to get off that ride. Right? So that's what I think authentic content looks like, is when we're like, I'm not just saying you need to write a vision, but I'm like, this is why you need to write a vision. This is why it's hard. This is why it's frustrating. Because this whole thing is happening inside you, and that's okay. You're not alone. We are actually all right there in it together, realizing, oh shit, on this crazy train I just put myself on, life looks very different. Success looks very different. Success comes at me very differently, very erratically. And a lot of people out here are trying to act like success is linear and like they're doing so great. And that's just not the case. And I think that the more honest you can be in whatever your industry or niche is, the more your people will go, oh my God, thank you for saying that. Right?
And that is the power of storytelling, which is, I talk to my audience about this all the time. Like that example that I gave at the beginning of the interview, the example that Celi just gave of her client, that is storytelling. And that helps your people see themselves in your content
Yeah.
versus using all of this industry jargon in your messaging, thinking that you're sounding competent and professional, which I'm sure you are, but it's just not hitting because we have no idea what you're talking about
Right.
versus using storytelling and putting yourself or one of your clients in an actual telling us about an actual story about an actual transformation. That is so much more impactful and it resonates so much more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yes, I'm seeing the same thing in messaging. And like even when I came into the online space in like the beginning of 2021, it was full of these coaches on like the beach and like their fancy villas. And it's like even then, I mean, my audience, like if you've been in my space for 2 seconds, you know that that is like so not my MO. Like I want to be in the corner of my couch with my dogs. Like I do not need to be on a beach. But that is very appealing to people.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just talking about this today. I was on an Instagram live, and I hate that people are saying, oh, your audience is getting smarter. Your buyers are getting smarter. I don't know that I believe that because my people have always been smart, but I think the online space is getting so loud. And it's like you have to do a little bit more vetting. And as a business owner, if you are the face of the brand, you have to let your audience in a little bit more because we're so used to this space of like, do you just have really good marketing content and you're
Mm-hmm.
totally gonna like rob me of fucking $5,000?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you legit and you're gonna help me and you have the expertise to back it up?
Right. Yeah. I think I agree with you. I think the audience has always been smart. I think they're just a little more jaded
Yeah,
and
100% and rightfully
rightfully
so.
so. Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. I do see people still making content all about how much money they've made. And I'm like, you're still doing that? Is that still working?
Yeah.
I never talk about how much money I've made or how much money I've made with my clients. So it's really interesting to me that like that still seems to be, I think it gets a lot of likes and it gets a lot of attention. I don't know if it creates longevity in your business and loyal customers and longevity in um, returning customers and referrals. And that's what I'm more interested in too, is I'm building a business for the long term. I'm really proud of the business I've built. I'm proud of my frameworks. I'm proud of the results I get. I'm proud of what my clients say to me. And that is more important to me, is what I'm building and what I'm sharing, what I'm putting out into the world.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Can we go off on that? Like your referrals and stuff. So do you I've recently started talking a lot about like the power of collaborations and referral partners especially. So do you have like a uh like specific referral partner program? Like if someone successfully sends someone to you, they get a cut? Do you
I
just kind
do.
of verbally, entice your clients? Like talk to us about that.
I do. I have an official one. Like I have a, you can be an official affiliate partner and here's how it is and here's your link, and I give a really nice like thoughtful kickback for referrals. And I also do, if someone's like, "Oh, hey, so and so is reaching out to you and they're from me," I also honor that.
Yes.
I am really honored by the fact that my clients send me people with the tone of, "Oh, she's legit.
Mm-hmm.
She really helped me. She will really help you." Like there's always this, "Oh, I'm sending you this person who's been burned by XYZ programs and they really need you now." And I'm always like honored that my clients send me people like that. So, and I try to honor whether they're an official affiliate or they send me somebody, I always try to honor that. And I do think that that's the foundation of good business, right? I always talk about like, I bought a house, I guess 2 years ago now, and it turned out to be a little bit of a money pit, which was very stressful. And we had contractor woes, and I'm Latina. So I started talking to like the Latin community and was like, "Who's the guy? Tell me who's the guy? Who's the guy that
Yeah.
can really fix stuff? Because we have a problem on our hands and our current contractor is ripping us off and he's kind of a jerk." So I got the like down low. I met a guy. Turns out he fixed something in my mom's house and then he fixed things in our house and he kind of started taking over the whole project and he was amazing. And the funny thing that happened was then my in-laws and my cousin-in-laws who all live in the surrounding area found out about him through us, and it kind and like his names, and so like he's doing work for all of these family houses, right? And I was at a birthday party for my cousin-in-law's daughter, and the wife was saying like, "Oh, that contractor, he's ours. We found him." And I just like the business coach in me chuckled because I
Yeah.
was like, that's because and my fake husband was so pissed off because he was like, "They're taking credit for like our like people were like fighting over taking credit for who found him first." And I was like, "I got nothing to prove. I know I found him, honey. I'm
Yeah.
Spanish in this crew." So I was like, I just kind of sat back and laughed that everyone was fighting over taking ownership of who found the guy because he's so great. And that is a perfect story. Like that's how I want to be to my clients.
Yeah.
Like when my clients are like, "Oh my God, she's the coach who finally like broke it down for me, who finally helped me, who like really, who really like was there for me and really helped me." Like no bullshit. Like that's how I want people. I think about that story and I'm like, that's how I want people to talk about me. Because you know what
Yeah.
people do when you're a bad contractor?
Yeah. They take shits
They
on you and tell everybody about it.
They also tell everybody about it, my friend. They also tell everybody about it and they give bad Google reviews, right? So that's my point. It's like I want to be the coach that everyone's fighting about to be like, "No, I had her first. No, she was my coach first. No, she helped my like that's my goal, right?" And that is like truly how business grows foundationally, right? Then you do all the cool fancy stuff and the marketing machine stuff and the automations and all that stuff. But first, we can't forget that first our clients have to be like, "No, she's mine. No, she does my marketing content. No, she doesn't. She's like put together my marketing strategy." That's gold. So
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
We should all strive to be that contractor.
Yeah, I just love that. I mean, I was literally at this picnic lunch watching everybody argue about who found
Yes.
it first. And I was just leaning back, like going, "This is amazing. This is
Yes.
business at its finest. I love this."
Yes.
Right? So yeah, don't feel bad if your business is based on referrals. That means you're doing something right.
Yes, and I always say, like, I'm a social media girly through and through, but my business would not be where it is today. It would not be as sustainable and profitable as it is if I did not collaborate and have referrals and give other people referrals as well. And
Right.
so that's why I do too. Like I have a referral program. I give a very nice cut of when a successful client signs. Like it, I think it is wonderful, it's powerful, and it gets people to keep coming back to you.
Yeah. And I think the next, if you want to know tips from a strategist, the next level of that is be intentional about your referral program. Don't just sit
Mhm.
around, wait for referrals to happen, but remind your people, give them content to share, give them incentives, lovingly remind them, oh, I have a program starting soon. Do you want to share this about it? Like give them an opportunity to be reminded that you have a referral program and treat it like one of your real channels. That's the
Yes.
next level of referral is don't just wait for people to talk about you, but create opportunities for people to talk about you.
100%. Also, I love that you mentioned fake husband. I always joke with Celi that I want her and fake husband to adopt me because they're in Greece right now. Like I want to go to Greece. Um, but Celi, thank you.
When we get invites, he always, I think you'll appreciate this. When we get invites, he's like, I want a divorce. And I was like, you can't divorce me. We're not married. And he's like, I
Yes.
can marry you just to divorce you. And I'm like, try it.
Yes. If you want to know the story about fake husband, Sally has a reel on her Instagram that's very interesting and explains it all. But thank you so incredibly much for coming and sharing your story and sharing all of the business and marketing tea. I love having these conversations with you as always.
Thank you for having me. I love having these conversations with you. So that was easy. That was super easy
I'm so glad. I'm so
and
glad.
cozy.
And cozy in the cozy content corner. So, Sally, if people want more of you in their lives, where can they go to find you?
Grownassbusiness.com is where you can find information about my programs or just come follow me on Instagram. It's I am Don Celia, Doncelia. And eventually I will take your coaching and get my ass on TikTok. I really
Yes, I
will.
always yell at Sally to get on TikTok, but she has a great Instagram, so slide into her DMs there.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Sally, again so much. And to everybody listening, I will see you on the next one.